Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. On the East Coast, you all just watched the premiere of Code Black Season 3, Episode 1. On the West Coast, you're going to watch it shortly. We hope you enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts by commenting below. I'm assuming that under my finger is where the comments are.
I'm going to write them.
I've got some questions that you sent in on our very own Code Black cards. Spent a lot of money on these cards. All right, so question number 1. Brittany, we got your question, and she's asking, what was your favorite moment from the season premiere? Who's got a good answer?
Emily.
Emily Allen Lynn, ladies and gentlemen. Is Ariel.
Okay, my favorite moment was probably, can I do spoiler alert?
You can
Okay.
you can say it.
My favorite moment is when Rob punches the guy.
Oh, no.
That was pretty badass.
Yes.
I really like that.
That is a spoiler alert.
That is a spoiler alert.
We don't
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Don't watch this till you've watched the episode.
There you go.
Say whatever you want.
That's what happened in the episode. Game over.
So that's good. Anybody else have a favorite moment they want to talk about?
I have a moment.
Oh, great.
I
Television's Emily Tyler, ladies and gentlemen.
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
I really love at the end of the episode when he reveals, I forgot the character's name already because I was tweeting the whole time. When he reveals he's in love with the woman that he's delivering the urn with, the love affair. When he finally gets the balls to like tell her, and it's so sweet.
Wait, that was in this episode?
Yes.
Yeah, clearly you were tweeting too much.
We shot this a while ago.
Yeah.
So
No, that wasn't. That was in 2 that we did earlier.
Oh, that wasn't in this episode. We did a little commentary. Next week you can watch the commentary on episode 2, and we did the commentary on it, and we thought we just watched it. Yeah, so
It's a lot of episodes. And
that's a big spoiler. Don't anyone remember that.
That's not
Thank God.
Because I thought, I'm going to have to go home and take a nap.
And
Something's really wrong with me.
Question number 2. Question number 2. This comes from Jay. Jay, we know you're out there. Tell us about the new characters this season. What can we expect from them? Can the new characters say something about their experience on the show? One of the new characters is right here.
Debut, get it.
That's right, Tyler Perez,
Tyler Perez.
playing Diego Avila.
So there's like 3 questions in there.
Okay, well, let me break it down.
All right, it's cool.
Oh.
Can you
Break
say
it down.
something about your experience on the show, Tyler?
Honestly, this experience has been, it's like surreal to me. Just working with all these great people, and honestly, I told Michael this a couple days ago. Before I booked this, I was like washing dishes at a restaurant, so it's like a huge change from that to like doing these live events and stuff. It's been amazing. I learned a lot from all these.
Yeah, but this
talented
is an
actors.
important tidbit, which is that he didn't quit his job.
That's right. That's right.
So he got the big role on the big network show, and then he felt bad, and he didn't want to quit his job washing dishes, so he went right back. You don't want to burn any bridges. He washed dishes for 2 weeks after he got this gig because he didn't want to leave them in the lurch.
Well, in fact, every night after he finished shooting, he'd go back and wash dishes.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Tyler, can you give me a beer?
So what?
Yeah, bro, back.
So Tyler,
Yes.
tell us, what can we expect from Diego this season?
Definitely can expect.
Don't tell them anything.
Oh no. Okay.
You can tell them something.
Let me see how to do this without spoiling anything. He's rude.
Well, so you do the documentary.
You make a documentary.
He grows a lot. He learns a lot at the hospital, and he makes an amazing documentary that if you guys have seen the documentary that Code Black is based off of, it's very similar. And he, people are very against it in the beginning, but I think we'll see what happens throughout the season.
Would you say that you're a nice?
Some nice teaser there.
Diego's not really that nice.
Well
Yes,
played.
okay.
Another new character is Moon Bloodgood's character Rox. She is not here, but there's a lot to see with Rox. She goes out on the ambulance with Willis. We leave the hospital a lot more this season. We go out to the scenes of accidents and forest fires and all kinds of things that happen, and then we watch as their relationship blossoms or doesn't. That's all I'll say. Hi, Moon. We miss you here. Okay, guys. Question number 3.
Where are we looking? Right there.
Well, the red light tells us where to look. Right there.
Oh.
These guys, they've never been on camera before. Question number 3. Bailey asks, what do you think makes this show so special and different from other television shows? I think Will Allen Young wants to take that.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that one of the things that distinguishes it is that so much of television you watch is pre-digested. You know the ending. You've seen it 100 times before, and then every now and then television has this show that comes on and challenges you to just sort of jump in and swim. We do the show, which means we see the script, we film it, and after it's over, you should see this cast watch the show that we do. It's so engaging. It doesn't allow you to jump ahead, and it's these twists and turns that allow you to really remember what it's like to watch great films, to watch great TV. And I know I'm biased, but everybody who watches the show says the same thing. You feel the show. You don't just watch it, and it's hard to do that on the small screen. But I think that Code Black really has succeeded. Great writers, great production team, great directors, and great cast to produce a show that I think that when people watch it, you really realize what TV is capable of. That small screen can do a great it can accomplish a great deal artistically if you have all of that working for it. And CBS has the show on its network, and people are watching. So we're just jazzed to be able to do it, and to do it every episode with that same integrity.
I would say really well said, but really it was well moderated. That's the right person.
For the right answer.
But
Always do.
thank you.
It helps that we like each other.
That is very helpful.
Who said that?
Chosen you for your
Some of us like each other.
I'm not
I
chosen
jumped
you.
in.
You jumped in.
Yeah, well.
Lesson learned.
Michelle,
Episode
There's a love story.
Hi,
coming.
Michelle.
Michelle, if you're out there, we have your question right here.
Hi, Michelle.
In my hot little hand. Michelle asks, what has been the most difficult scene you've ever had to shoot? And I think that's one for Marcia Gay.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on.
Well, now we're coming into the third season. I think that the most difficult scenes are in the ER, because it's a lot of people. There's a lot of dialogue. It's medical dialogue. You've been rehearsing with the med techs, with the directors to get it right. And because there's the cinema veritas, should I say verite or veritas, Michael? You would know.
Verite.
Because it's truthful, as it were. We must be truthful. It has this documentary feel. You know, sometimes you can fake it peas and carrots, but you really have to know what you're doing. And there's long scenes, and you've got to get them right. And I think those are hard, and they last their 15-hour days. So for me, those are really, really hard. Then there's a wonderful little teaser that's happening in episode 2, where we all go outside the box of our physical comfort. Let me just say, and that was with some moves.
Some of us did it with a broken toe.
And some of us did it with a broken toe. And that was not easy.
Quite well on that.
Also, I would say your
Very well
stairwell
done.
scene, though. You remember that one?
Which
Simba the Lion
which
King.
one?
In 109, in the
your
Lion
Lion
King
King
episode.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
where,
right.
where
Yes, you
you
were
talk
Louis
about
and
the
the
CD in the car.
What happened to you? And you said, everyone.
That's the pilot. That was
That's the
most,
pilot. Yeah, who did
You hit me.
I got so excited. I'm not
There's
gonna
something
lie.
in every episode,
Yeah, I know.
there's something difficult and challenging to do, and that's what you love about it. You push yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my highlight reel for you.
Question number 5, Adam asks, based
Adam.
on what... Hi, Adam. Based on what you've learned on the show, would you do anything differently now if you go to a hospital or see a doctor? That is a great question.
Yes, ready? Stay at home.
No, Harry, that's not
Young
true.
Squire.
We've met all these heroes in
only
hospitals.
because I know there's going to be some jerk who's flirting with someone else. I'm going to get distracted care.
That does not happen in the real ER.
No.
That only
He
happens
said
in our
based on the
fictional
show.
ER.
He said based on the show.
Hey, if you're going to go to the ER and you were going to like,
And I'm assuming that some of these characters are here. I need to see one of them.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe you towards the end.
I'm gonna. You know what?
You like
I-
me most?
I feel
Yeah.
like Noah
Not
Gray
him.
Cabey needs to answer
Yes,
this
I
question.
think-
Yeah.
That was that
No,
repeated
if you had to go to the hospital right now, would you do something differently as a patient, knowing what you know from the show?
Well, I think it's given me a lot more respect for doctors. It's amazing the wealth of knowledge that these people have to have. And something that, you know, we explore on the show is what happens when someone makes the wrong decision, or what happens when, you know, and what's amazing to me about doctors is not just what they can do to help save people, but how they handle themselves when they can't or when something goes wrong, like that episode that we had in episode 13 of last season, where
in the chamber.
Yeah, in the chamber, where they, like, you know, a baby passes away.
I was there.
How would you deal with that? So if I walk into a hospital today, I'm just going to say thank you to everyone.
True.
Yep, great. Very well moderated.
Don't jump in, Harry. Jump in.
All right, I got to speak my truth.
Thanks. All right. This is a question for Marsha Gay Harden by Kaylee.
Hi, Kay.
Who asks, what was the hardest part of getting into Leanne's emotional character?
Wow. Oh, that's a great question, Kaylee. It was, you know, an actor always uses their own life to fuel their character. And so one of Leanne's tragedies was that she... Oh, sorry. Can't I talk to you right over here? But you're
right there.
Over
They moved.
here.
The light thing
You're
is
moving
really
around,
happening.
Kaylee. So...
Now it's there.
Just so much
I
happening.
can't follow Kaylee.
Guys, just pick one.
Yeah, pick one. Talk to this
I'm
one.
going to talk to you.
Yeah. Okay.
So... No, talk to me.
Kaylee,
Come on.
You need
Come on. That's just not fair now.
Hands raised. That's
Plus, it's a serious question.
Yeah, it's a very
so-
serious question. Let's ask it again. Let's start over. What was the hardest part of getting into Leanne's emotional character? I think it's a great question.
Well, an actor uses themselves, and so one of the things that Michael had written for Leanne was that she had lost her children and her husband in a car accident. And so for me, it was learning how to moderate that the emotion of that tragedy, because I had had things in my own life that resonated for me in that way. And so it was understanding the wonderful blend of her badassedness and her kind of recklessness, which I loved in the ER, and yet this tamped down emotional life, and just kind of trying to find the blend for it. And then the second part of it was she's a real, I say she has a resting bitch face. So, and it's actually an active bitch face. So,
Not always resting.
It's not always resting. It's moving around. And so it was making, you don't want to worry that people like you as an actor. You just have to play your character. And she's hard. She's hard on people a lot. And what I loved was that the more direct and honest she was, you didn't care if you liked her or not. You did like her because you wanted someone to be that strong.
Yeah.
So that was a fun balance to find.
You want to find a Leanne when you go to the hospital.
Yes.
All right. So Nicole asks, has there been any medical or coworker scene that has struck you on a personal level?
Ooh.
I think Ben Hollingsworth should answer that question.
Oh gosh, are you gonna cry?
Well, you did just have a baby. Another one.
Yeah, it's hard not to have
in real life. He had a baby.
It's hard not to bring a life into the world and have an appreciation for just that life in general, what we protect and what we try and save on the show. It's just the importance of every life, because regardless of who comes in those doors, they were once a baby, and I think it gives you an ultimate respect for humans in general. But specifically, there's an episode coming up that you'll see later in this season where there's a baby brought into the hospital who's kind of, her mother's fighting for her life, and there's a Canetti, I'm going to use it right now, a moment between
so
that
jealous
happens
of that.
in center stage where this choice has to be made between saving the mom's life and the baby's life, and that's I think any father's worst nightmare, right? Is to go in and have to make a choice, or even to be there witnessing something like that. So to all those expecting fathers out there, maybe grab an extra box of tissues or dim the lights, however you want to do that.
Start cutting onions.
Start cutting onions, but like, sweetie, that lasagna is really a lot of onions in it. But that's what's great about our show is we tell the story of family, and at the core of that is babies.
That's great.
So
all right.
soft and sweet.
Question number 8. Rihams, I hope I'm saying your name right. Rihams. Is that correct? Hello, Rihams. Where am I looking? There you go. He's not in the room, but he's right there at that camera. Do you think that after acting like a doctor on the show, you could do any of it in real life? Who wants to take that one?
Harry.
That sounds like Harry. Yes.
Can you do it in real life?
My help.
No, but I have found I've actually been to the ER a couple of times with friends recently, who had like a level 7 spinal fusion and a couple of other emergencies. And I find I am incredibly patient, and I also can read the monitor. Which is not good, no, because I go, it's really high. And they're like, no, it's because they're hurting. It's normal. Monitor syndrome. Monitor syndrome. You're making things up.
No, that's true.
Monitor syndrome?
That's a real thing. They talk about it with
She
residents
says monitor
all the
syndrome.
time. Monitor syndrome.
Monitor syndrome.
That's
You wrote
right.
it, you know.
That's right.
You wrote monitor syndrome. Remember that?
We might be making that up.
No, because you
Don't
watch the
quote
monitor and
us
you
on
treat
that.
based on the
Right.
monitor.
We're not real doctors.
Yeah, we're not real doctors. All right, Carolyn. Hello, Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Can you tell us some of the craziest things that have gone wrong for you on the set?
Well, Marcia and the toe.
Where do we start?
I'll tell the toe one. I had a 800-pound gurney with a 170-pound person on top of it roll across my toe in the middle of a scene, an intense scene with Rob, and I yelled the loudest F word you can imagine. It's actually MF word, really loud, and they didn't stop rolling.
And we're going to show it to you next week.
My toe was broken.
Yeah, you're going to see it next week.
We just kept on
She will
going. The
be-
show must go on.
That's
That
a-
was
She
But
dances.
Tune in.
That was hard, but there was also a moment I recall where you couldn't quite get a glove.
what?
Wait, who?
Remember,
couldn't get your
Marcia
gloves.
couldn't get your glove. It was season 1.
Oh God, I hate you all. I
It
hate
was
them.
season 1, and
I
this is a
hate
better
them. I
story.
hate
Do you want to
them.
say it out loud for the
Please tell
people?
this story.
No.
Yeah, tell that story.
Tell the story.
You guys are horrible
Yeah.
human beings, every one of you.
We have to out you.
We were in the ER room, and we all take ourselves very seriously, MGH a little bit too much. And we were shooting the scene, and we knew Michael was on the set. That was part of it. So when Michael's around, we're like, whoa, we have to do great.
Yeah,
make
nervous,
nervous energy. We have to make it high octane ER. And someone was supposed to bring me a glove, and so I asked for it in the scene, and they didn't bring it. And they asked for it in the scene, and they didn't bring it. And I asked the third time, and they didn't bring it. And I was so into it. I finally said, a glove, my kingdom for a glove. And I didn't think anything was wrong with it. That's what's so sad.
Well, a lot of people don't know.
Never lived it down.
At the end of each season, we put together a gag reel, or Michael and the crew put together a gag
Yeah.
reel, and it's all of those outtakes that we're telling you about that
Is
you
it on
don't
the
get a
DVD?
chance to see.
It's on the DVD.
Oh,
show.
it is. Oh,
we
getting
should
it.
release it online before the.
Can we?
Yeah, let's see if we
a lot
can do
here
that.
too, because
Yeah.
medically,
We have a lot of really fun
we
stuff.
have all been involved medically where we keep going and we're like, this thing is not
Right.
working, and we have to look at each other, and there is a pact where we go, I got it, and inevitably you go,
Don't get it.
sorry, can we go
But
back?
Michael, you would know the answer to that question. What crazy things have gone wrong? Like on technically,
Yeah,
the
more
scale
things
of
than
the
you're in.
technical is so huge.
Yeah, we always. I mean, things that go wrong are usually sort of big things that were supposed to happen that didn't happen. You know, something that was supposed to show up. You know, the ambulance that was supposed to show up for the scene, and then there's no ambulance, so that we have to regroup and figure out something else to do. Or, you know, there's, usually it's some sort of budgetary fiasco or some location fiasco or something that we just handle and deal with, and then we roll with it. But we don't have a whole lot of catastrophes that seem to.
You have
come
good
in our
stuff, like when
direction.
you got
We
the
have really good
submarine.
the submarine. So we started out with a crazy idea. This was in season 2, where I walked in the room and I said, "Well, we had a problem. We had a production problem, which was we only had Rob Lowe that episode for like 4 days."
That episode?
Well,
I'm sorry.
he had a prior commitment before we started the season, and we only had him for 4 days, so we needed to shoot him in an entire episode in just 4 days. So where are we going to do it? So we were in the writers' room throwing out ideas, and everybody was saying, "Well, what if he's stuck in a car? He's in a phone booth, or he's in a..." And then I said, "What if he has to be in a submarine?" And everybody looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, "Yeah, he's going to be in a submarine." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "Because it had engine trouble, as it does, and surfaced off the coast of Los Angeles. And there was an international incident, and he and Boris Kojo had to fly out to and so suddenly we had an episode, of course. So LJ built a submarine.
Yeah.
That it was a production problem.
It's the only
Yeah.
medical drama that can get away with a principal actor doing the show in a submarine.
That's right. And it actually is emblematic of the question, which is, what kind of catastrophes happen? Well, that was one. run where we only had him for 4 days, and we had to figure out what to do in 4 days. So the reason is you have to figure out how to shoot someone all in one location, because if you shoot multiple locations is what takes a long time. So we did it all on stage 3 at Walt Disney Studios.
But isn't it amazing how we always make it work?
We always make it work. It always works. Yeah. Okay, question number 10. Jana asks, hello Jana.
Hi, Jana.
How do the actors deal with shooting so many emotional moments in every episode? That is a great question.
Wow.
Would you like to take it, Will Allen?
I think we all process differently, but I do know one thing, and Harry mentioned it earlier. We are so a little bit crazy. And we have to be, because the show really requires us to really go down in our gut. Well, you can't do that over and over again unless you have moments to balance with that where you're a little crazy and having fun. This family, we allow ourselves to balance the heavy stuff with the light stuff. Again, the gag reels and all of that stuff, Marsha running around fooling with everybody. There's not one of us who's not a little bit crazy. And even Michael, when he's on the set, will come down and say stuff to make us laugh. We know that it's intense. Yeah. And like Marsha said, 14, 15 hours every now and then. Because of that really sort of is our outlet. And then when we go home, of course, we collapse and come back the next day. But yeah, that's how we do it. Just
with a 12-hour turnaround, though.
Yeah, 12 hours.
I mean, truly, like, how many times have we run into each other in whatever that hallway is outside of the set, and been like, "Hey, are you okay?" And
it gets intense, and we see it all the time on the other side of the camera. We watch that it gets real, you know. And we're watching in dailies. Dailies is the footage that you shot the day before. You watch it the next morning, and that's the footage that you edit. And when we're watching dailies and we're watching take after take, you can see the progression. First, we see how you find the moment, how you find the character, and then we see these little moments right after where you're overtaken by the emotion of the scene, and we can see it before the camera cuts. We see these moments. We see them when we're on set, but there's something about that close-up, and the camera's still lingering on you, and we see the sigh at the end of it.
You release it,
Yeah. I mean, I can remember being behind the observation room and the OR, and I came up the stairs to see you and Boris, and you were hugging, and remember how emotional that was?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the most emotional moments I'd ever been a part of in anything that I'd ever made, and we all felt it. I mean, everybody felt it.
That was Boris who'd gone the extra mile and really internalized it, and he was holding the emotion, and then when people say cut, you release, and then he was using the release within the scene as well, and it was just beautiful. It was so personal.
Yeah, it really was. And he can't be with us today, but hi, Boris, if you're watching.
And Louie
in Puerto Rico. Louie, who's in Puerto Rico right now, helping out in Puerto Rico, building a community center.
Rob's in Texas, so and Moonblood's not here.
Moonblood is up in Santa Ynez.
There's a scene that I did with Noah and with Emily, and there's a baby, and Noah's inside
I
think last season.
We were there.
Episode 213.
That's right.
And you guys were there.
It was early days for you, right?
No. This was the other. This was later.
The incubation.
The hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, his memory.
Were we out there?
You weren't there with me. That was the first hyperbaric chamber.
Noah, I had never seen how. I didn't know how he works. I didn't know how he works on those kind of scenes, so I left. And when I came back, I just wanted to ask him, what do you need from me or any of that? He was weeping in a corner by himself. Yeah. And I let him go, because just like Michael said, you see it on camera, but we see it interacting with us. And I thought, that's how he processes. Let him have that moment. But he was reaching down so deep that when you see that scene, it's the product of all of that. And then after it's over, right away, I just hugged him. And Emily, same thing, watching from the outside. I just love that you work with a cast that can do that can allow the emotional, gut-wrenching moments, and then after it's over, just hug each other.
Everybody is so supportive of that process in this crew. Like, everybody is very aware of when people need extra support in a scene, and it's a very selfless crew of actors here, I have to say, so that helps out a lot.
Yeah, when your dad died, woo, that was a lot.
We have a last question here. Our last question, Alex asks, how do you make Angel's Memorial feel so real?
Ooh.
Wow.
Good question.
Feels like one for Michael Seitzman.
Oh, let us, Maestro, speak.
Well, if we start out with great scripts written by a team of wonderful writers, and we spend a lot of time. You know, if you're doing your job right as a writer, you are combing through your life for every personal moment you've ever experienced. Everything. The first time you remember your father saying he's proud of you. The first time you broke up with somebody and it broke your heart. Your first day of school when you were scared to walk in. The time you heard your parents fighting downstairs and you were confused by it. Your first day of college. The time that you hurt yourself and something happened and you went to the hospital and you were alone and you didn't have a friend with you and you were scared. All these moments, if you're doing your job right, which is the job of an actor also, is you comb through your life for all of these moments and then you try to fit them into your fiction. And if we start there and we start with what's personal to us and we write what's personal to us, we end up with something that feels real because it is real. And we feel it when we're writing it. And then the beautiful thing about it is the more specific you make it to yourself, the more universal it seems to become. And we see it right away when it's really personal to us, and then we see you guys at the table read, and we see how it affects you, and then we find out how it affected you on a personal level. It's very gratifying because we feel like, oh, yeah, we're all the same. You know what I mean?
Talk about the set, too, Michael. How they, like the scuff marks and how...
So we built the set deliberately to be a bit of a tank, meaning once you, like a fish tank, you walk into it and you're kind of unaware of the outside world. We did something that you don't normally do. We put ceilings on the sets, for starters, and that was very important because the minute you put ceilings on the sets, usually a lot of sets don't have a ceiling because you put lights above them. A lot of people don't know that because you never look up at the ceilings. We see our ceilings because our cameras are moving all over the place, but it has another effect also, which is it suddenly you stop thinking about the set that you're on because you can't see the set. You can, meaning you can't see the outskirts of the set. You can only see the real of it. So we started with that. We took great pains to emulate LA County Hospital, the old LA County Hospital, not the new one, the one that's not in use anymore, for medicine. And what we did was we took pictures of the wainscoting on the walls, the stone wainscoting. We made wallpaper out of it so we could create the same wainscoting. And we put linoleum floors down, and then we came in with a team of people to age them with bricks in various colors of paint. And on their hands and knees, they went through 50,000 square feet and scuffed up the floor.
Like where the person would be on the phone, where a character would be on the phone in real life, they've got all the scuff marks down on the ground where they would have kicked the wall.
Right. So we wore down the linoleum. We wrote little notes on Post-its that have been stuck, you know, that you'll never see in the show, but that the actors will see, or little pieces of tape. Just like a lot of detail.
Birthday wish from someone. Right. Like so, and
the charts.
The charts.
The charts.
Right. The charts are real.
Real actual detail about each specific patient, and each background person has a story.
The art department is phenomenal.
The art department is amazing.
And it makes it so much easier for us to get into character. We feel like we're in a hospital, and that we're doctors,
not pretending
real
at all.
ultrasound machines.
Oh, and I love this one, Michael. When we do the scenes, Michael always has the directors make sure that things are in the way. So when we're in the ER, it's really good because so many times when you're in a film or on stage, you go into a room and then you think about the scene you're doing and you move all the stuff out of the way so it's convenient, and it's never convenient. You miss all these acting opportunities to shove it out of the way while you're saying your line, getting to the bed, and I love that.
Well, we in the premiere episode, Leanne yells to the two residents, she says, if you want an education, fight for it. And they have to fight their way to the table because the room is so crowded. And what we did was, we did this last season also with Noah and with Emily, is off-screen, unbeknownst to them, we had a bunch of extras, a bunch of nurses in scrubs, and we would deploy them to bump into them so they couldn't get to the table. So we'd send them in, knock her out of the way, knock her out of the way, right. Make it feel like what it would feel like, that if you can't get to the table, then your character can't get to the table, and what does your character do? And then suddenly it gets very real as a result.
You've been doing that since the pilot, with Homeboy Drop-Off, and we were all there, and we're at the end of the table, and she's going, what's the answer, what's the answer? We're like, I don't know, and then you're like, don't bump into me, get off of me, and then you find out,
speaking of Homeboy, who we still have on set.
He hangs out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they mean there's a very real, we make these very real dummies to be dead bodies or bodies that we have to do surgery on, and we make them, and we have a bunch of them, and it's really kind of creepy. They're all laying around, and they look incredibly real.
Oh, every time kids come visit the set, we're like, "Do you want to see a dead person?"
No, stop, no.
I do. I take them, and we have the dead person covered up. I do, and I take them back, and I'm like, "Okay."
You've all just learned something about Marcia Gay Harden. Oscar winner Marcia Gay Harden. National treasure Marcia Gay Harden. Don't leave your kids with her.
And we pull it back, and it looks so real. Like, everyone's screaming.
Well, on that happy note, I think we're going to wrap it up. I think the lesson of the day is don't leave your kids with National Treasure Marcia Gay Harden. But do watch our show. We are incredibly proud of it. Incredibly proud of this cast, the cast members who couldn't join us tonight. We make the show with a lot of love and a lot of heart, and we take it very seriously. And we also don't take it too seriously. That we have a really good time when we're making it, and we are in love with what we do. We're in love with each other, and I think that reflects on screen. And I think from what we see in the live Twitter feed and what we see on the Facebook comments, it seems to affect you the same way. So thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of our family.
Thanks, everybody.